Welcome to this virtual baby and toddler Save a Baby session. I'm Jen and this is Ellie, and we're the volunteer co-chairs of the Royal Lifesaving Society's Surrey branch.
The RLSS wants to make sure that everybody can enjoy water safely and know what to do in an emergency. In this session, we will run through how to save a baby if they were choking, drowning, or have stopped breathing.
There will be points during the demonstrations where we'll encourage you to practice along with us, so go grab yourself a teddy or a cushion, whatever you have to hand. Please don't ever practice on a real person. The techniques that we're teaching you today are only for use in an emergency.
We're gutted we can't be at the show this year, but we're hoping this virtual video will assist you should you ever find the need to save a baby's life. There are various stages in the CPR sequence, but the first thing you must kick off with is checking for dangers.
So anything like a gas leak, something like that might have made the baby unconscious and would pose a danger to you as well, especially if you haven't seen why the baby's unconscious.
The next thing, you're going to approach the baby with caution and check for a response. The best way to do this is to tickle the feet of the baby, a small little pinch to the earlobes, and just trying to get a response. It may be a smile, it may be a laugh, or it may be a little giggle, or just something that you can see the baby's responded to you.
So if I then don't have any response, I want to check for breathing. So I'm going to put one hand at the top of his head, 2 fingers under his chin to open up his airway. On a real human, if I didn't have my hands here, the head would fall down like this. Obviously that isn't the case on a toy, but this is why I'm demonstrating this. I then want to put my ear down to his mouth, and what I want to be doing is feeling on my cheek for his breaths, listening for his breath with my ear, and my eyes are looking down his chest, looking to see if his chest is rising up or down. And I want to do this for up to 10 seconds. At this point, if Snowy is not breathing, I want to start CPR. And the most important thing here is that I need an ambulance. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to call for one. Most likely, I have a phone in my pocket and I can whip it out, do 999 and have it on loudspeaker. If there is someone around me, so a member of family, a friend, I can ask them to call 999, asking them to stay in the room with me so they always know what's going on, so we can communicate that to the ambulance. If, for example, I have no phone on me, so I don't have my phone, so I'm in the middle of nowhere, I've got no signal, at this point I want to start CPR for 1 minute and then I would go and get help. This is because the impact that you can have in 1 minute on a baby can make a difference. So I want to start CPR. Best scenario, I'm ringing 999 and starting CPR at the same time.
We know the baby's not breathing, and at this age is more likely to be because of the breathing than because of a heart problem. So we're going to start by putting some rescue breaths in through the baby's mouth and nose. We want to inflate the lungs, and obviously their lungs are much smaller than ours. So when you're doing the breaths, you only want a small bit of air, a little puff for the cheeks. Okay? You want to open up that airway again, making sure you're only cradling the head gently at the top and have your 2 fingers under the chin to tilt the head back slightly. The airway should be in a nice straight line and open. You want to make a seal with your mouth around the baby's mouth and nose so that the air isn't escaping out of the side when you blow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that I only put a little bit of air in, but you could still see the chest rising and falling. And I came away between each breath to make sure that the breath can escape again. Once you've done those 5, you want to move on to chest compressions. For a baby, you only want to use 2 fingers. You want to position them in the centre of the chest, so that's between the nipples on that line. You're going to want to press down 1/3 of the chest depth. I know it feels like a lot, but you do need to make sure that the pressure is enough to compress the baby's heart to simulate a heartbeat. Right in the centre of the chest and press down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30. In between each one, you could see that my fingers were coming up all the way to allow the chest to expand again. My hand was still cradling the head to make sure that there was no unnecessary movement in the neck, but making sure I wasn't clamping it and holding it still because that would put stress in the neck itself. Once you've done your first 30 compressions, you move back to breaths, but this time it's just 2 breaths. This forms part of a cycle that just is 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, and you keep going. If you haven't already been able to call an ambulance, do about 3 cycles, 3 times round, and then call an ambulance. But make sure you keep going with the CPR. When the ambulance does arrive, the paramedics will come and take over, but keep going until that happens. Don't stop just because you hear the sirens. Make sure you keep going until a paramedic comes and takes over.
Now let's practice at home. Grab that teddy or that pillow that we mentioned earlier and let's get started. So firstly, we want to check for dangers. Secondly, check for response. So we want to approach the baby, tickle their feet, pinch their ears, see if we can get any response from them. If there's no response, check for breathing. So that's 2 fingers on the chin, lifting up, opening the airway, and cradling the back of the head with your other hand. You want to lean down, put your ear against the mouth, and listen for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. At this point, if there's no breathing, we need help. We need an ambulance. So if you've got a phone, call 999. If you've got a friend or family with you, they call 999. If you have no phone or friend to call 999, then start CPR for 1 minute and then go get help. We now want to start CPR. So to start off with, that is 5 rescue breaths. Back down to the baby, open up their airway. So 2 fingers on the chin, lifting up with your other hand cradling the head, and 5 rescue breaths. We now want to do 30 compressions. So that's 2 fingers in the middle of the chest, in between the nipples, holding the head to keep the baby still with your other hand, and you want to be doing 30 compressions to the depth of 1/3 of the baby. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then we're going to go back and do 2 more breaths. So fingers on the chin, lifting up to open the airway. Remember keeping that other hand cradling the head, and 2 breaths. And it's just that puff of air. And then we want to repeat that cycle, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths, until the paramedic takes over or the baby responds to you.
Babies can pretty much choke on everything as they begin to explore the world with their mouths. Firstly, let's try to prevent choking. Ensure that around your home there's not easy items that babies can pick up and put in their mouth. For instance, the change that you may leave on the side. Just have a think, where are you placing these items and could your baby easily reach them? You want to get the baby lying face down on your arm, ensuring that you've got a good hold of the jaw and that you have a firm grip of the baby and the legs are either side of your arm. You're then going to take the heel and the hard part of your hand in between the shoulder blades of the baby and giving it a firm pat forward, ensuring that you're keeping your hand at an angle. You don't want to be hitting the baby with a flat hand because otherwise you'll be hitting it on the head. Ensuring that with a good angle, you're going in between the shoulder blades with a firm push. You're going to do that up to 5 times, and after each time, gently rolling the baby over and seeing if you can see the object. Of course, we never put our fingers into the baby's mouth to try and pierce it out or tweezer it out. You want it to come out naturally. If, in the case, it's not worked, what you're going to do is flip the baby over and you're going to do chest thrusts. Taking 2 fingers into the centre of the baby's chest, again, having the head lower than the bum, you're going to push in with a short burst of power to try and push the object up. Again, after each time, checking to see if the objects come out. Ensuring again that you've got a good, firm grip. If that doesn't work, continue through the cycle. You need to be able to release the object.
Basically, you keep going with 5 of each until the blockage has cleared. If the blockage doesn't clear and the baby becomes unconscious, then you put them on a firm surface, whether that's the floor or a table, and you do CPR as we showed you before. If the blockage has cleared, the baby is most likely going to be distressed, and what they're going to need from you is a cuddle. They're going to need some comfort. Make sure if any baby has ever been treated for choking, no matter how many times you needed to do the process, you call an ambulance and you get them checked out at the hospital. We do need to be quite firm when we're doing the process to make sure that we can clear the blockage and make sure the baby can breathe. But obviously they are still quite small and delicate, and it can cause some internal damage, so you need to get that checked out at the hospital.
Let's now practice the treatment for choking at home. First of all, put that baby on their front, either your arm or your leg, and we want to do up to 5 back blows using the base of our palm and checking after each blow. 1, check. 2, check. 3, check. 4, check. 5, check. We now want to turn the baby onto their back if the object has not come out of their mouth to do up to 5 chest thrusts. 2 fingers on their chest and again checking after each thrust. 1 and check. 2 and check. 3 and check. 4 and check. 5 and check. We now want to repeat this until the blockage is clear. If at any point the baby becomes unconscious, we then want to begin CPR as per our previous demonstration. The baby should always be examined by a doctor after back blows and chest thrusts have been applied. Now turning to look at what to do in the event of drowning. Firstly, take the child out of the water. Secondly, check for response. And then thirdly, start the CPR sequence that we've already gone through.
There are lots of things around the home that can be dangerous if you're not careful.
These could include a bath with running water or full. These could involve a paddling pool. So the advice here would be to always empty the paddling pool after use and monitor the bath when running and make sure children are not alone with the water.
Drownings can happen very, very quickly, so make sure you never ever leave your child unattended around water. I hope you've learned something useful today and feel a bit more confident that you could handle an emergency if you needed to. If you want to find out more about the life-saving work that the RLSS does, or more about first aid or life-saving with young children, please look up the RLSS Surrey branch or RLSS Central Charity.
We are a charity run by volunteers, so if you feel that you're able to contribute to help us save more lives, please see the fundraising links below.